I'm Kate Muker, the CEO of Conscious Divas, and I'm so honored to be a part of the Get Naked Video Telesummit. I want to start by thanking Catrice for such an amazing opportunity and for being the visionary behind this amazing event. I'm here basically today to share about getting real about our purpose and really stepping into our purpose, because I think there's so many of us that have created our own barriers and veils and told ourselves so many lies that have really kept us paralyzed from experiencing that. And from what I know, it's our birthright to live our purpose. And I've progressed over the years into really stepping more and more into this place and have so many learnings myself. And so today I'm here to just talk more about that so that you can step more and more into your purpose and living it. The number one thing that kept me captive from living my purpose was really the fact that I had created an illusion as to what living my purpose was. I actually didn't even know what living my purpose was. I was looking at what people had and I was searching outside of me to find that. It was almost like going shopping into a bunch of different stores and not having a clue what you were looking for. You're like, oh, well, that person might like that jacket, so maybe I'll like it. Or that person has a really nice dining room set, maybe I'll like that. And so it was this constant seeking outside of me. And I might buy that jacket or buy that dining set or whatever it was, but I'd never feel fulfilled from within because it wasn't even my purpose that I was seeking, and I didn't even know what my purpose looked like. I didn't have a compass to guide me or for me to reference if that was really the thing that was going to make me happy within. So I was left with a lot of unfulfilled feelings within. And so if you're finding yourself kind of searching and looking outside of you, or getting that feeling like, am I ever going to find my purpose, or do I have a purpose? And also another thing is like really putting a lot of weight on what it means to find your purpose. I think nowadays we often hear a lot of people talking about finding your purpose and living your purpose, especially in the personal growth and development sector, and that puts a lot of weight on what people think that is. It becomes this huge thing that we're trying to attain, and I guess I just want to remove that barrier, because what I've started to see and discover is that it doesn't look like that, because it looks like whatever it feels like within you. One of the things I would start with for people, really, if you're looking to find your purpose and you're really having that feeling inside you that you don't feel good enough, or you're constantly have that outward seeking, is to become clear on the types of things you love. So let's start talking about like what really is my purpose. So it's not about looking at how other people are living their purpose and what they're doing. It's about coming back in and cultivating what it is to you, because you can't find anything or experience something if you don't even know what it looks like or feels like. And so what I always suggest is that we start with, and something that's worked well for me, is that we start with cultivating what our love for thing is. So it's like cultivating what you love. So look around in your life at what you already have and you're already doing, and see what you love about it, and look for the things you love about it, because it's sometimes easy to find things you don't love, but sometimes we have to look a little bit harder, and when we do, actually we can fall in love with things that are already existing in our life. And the other thing is really cultivating creativity, because creativity is our expression, and living your passion is a part of your unique expression in the world. And so I would start by cultivating creativity and really creating space for that. Sometimes what I've found is that I would be like, okay, well, I'm trying to cultivate it, but nothing's coming up. I don't really know what I like. I don't really know what I'm passionate about. And so it really took providing space and time. You got to clear the decks. It's like you're looking at an empty blank canvas, and now you have to start to think about what you want to put on there and what it looks like. And so it's about starting to cultivate an inner fire. And so use the things you like to find more things you like. And so discover what your values are. Your values are super important. And so when you know what your values are and you do things that cultivate creativity, and you start to do the things you love, and then you do more of the things you love, you're really just building that fire in you so that you can then navigate through life and continue to find things that you love, and that gets you closer to living your purpose, because living your purpose is just your self-expression of your gifts to the world. And if we delve a little deeper and think about like how do we discover what our values are, I think it's about starting to create lists of what's important to you. So for me, my family is important to me, my health is important to me, my business is important to me, success is important to me. And so it's like making sure the things you're doing in your life are aligned with your values as well. So it's like, if my health is important to me, then what are the things I'm doing in my life to serve my values? So I might be getting up at 6 a.m. and going to yoga, having green smoothies, drinking alkaline water. So it's really like, just start to identify what things are really important to you in your life. And usually another thing you can do is kind of look around at what are the things you spend your time on. And sometimes they will be things that are aligned with your values, and other times you might identify that they're actually not aligned with your values. So that's coming clean too. That's really being authentic with yourself about where you're in integrity with your values and where you're out of integrity. Because in order to live your purpose and live your passion, you really have to be in integrity. So you have to get real with yourself about where you're potentially living out of integrity. And I know for me, one of the big discoveries was admitting that I was chasing something on the outside. That was I didn't even know I was chasing something on the outside, but once I discovered that and got really true and honest with myself, it was kind of heartbreaking at first. I was really sad and upset and kind of disappointed in myself. But then there's growth on the other side of that. So I would just say, start with cultivating and discovering your values through the things you love and the things that are really important to you in your life. So once you've cultivated your creativity and you've discovered your values, then it's about commitment and dedication. I think the next step is really about committing to something and sticking it out for a longer haul. I think that I used to believe that my purpose was just going to land on my lap, or I'd look at other people and think they just knew right away what their purpose is. And I do think there are people that it's like love at first sight. There's just some spark within them that knows that they're meant to do that. But for a lot of us, after you go through that process of really cultivating and knowing what it feels like to love something, then you keep doing it more and more, and I think you start to learn and love a new appreciation for that. And that's definitely been an experience that I had when I went for a 10-day yoga retreat even. So I always kind of dabbled in yoga, but I didn't really know how connected it made me and how much it lit me up until I went and spent 10 days immersed in it. So what I'd say is, like, if there's things that you kind of think you love, really immerse yourself in them, and really the attraction to things comes when you become more dedicated and committed, because you start to see things about it that you start to see and receive joy and fulfillment from things that you could never get unless you did it for a longer period of time. So something you may experience is if you've already got aligned with your values, or you know what your values are, and you've cultivated creativity, and there's a spark in you for things that you love, but there's still sort of a feeling that you're not super fulfilled, or you don't feel in flow with what you're doing, you still may need to come clean about not being totally in integrity with something that's feeding your soul, because it's really deep rooted in our society and our families and our friends to do things because people think that's the right thing we should do. And so it's sometimes hard to even get clear and know that something isn't for us. And so sometimes there will be things that you've been doing for a lot of years that aren't your purpose, and the way to check in with that is, if, like I said, if you're not in flow, if you're not feeling the flow and things aren't working, and then you've tried shifting yourself, then it's constantly about going back within to get really true and honest with yourself, because we can so easily tell ourselves lies, because it's easier to sometimes, we think it's easier to stay in that place where we are than it is to break free. And so that's a really big lie that we often tell ourselves. And you may be telling yourself that, no, this is where I'm meant to be, this is the job I'm meant to have, or this is how I'm supposed to be showing up in the world, but that could just be a safety place. And so the big things that I always do is meditation, journaling, prayer, asking the right questions to really allow those answers to emerge. And that's why the creativity part is really valuable as well, because if you're too much in your head, you'll never be able to find the right answers. You'll be analyzing the answers versus allowing them to really come from your heart. When you're not telling yourself lies and you're in flow, it's interesting. One of the things I thought about is that when we are telling ourselves lies about what our purpose is and how it looks like, we're really using other people as a measuring stick. And a famous quote by Danielle Laporte is, "Comparison kills." Because when we start to compare to others, we put ourselves down and we don't feel good enough. And so so I always say that it's really, someone who's living their purpose is a very unique expression of them, and there's no two people that can really be in full self-expression and be identical to another person. However, there is a sort of like vitality and energy and burst that comes from within of people who are all living on purpose. So when you are tuned into that self-expression, to that purpose, you light up. You feel so full inside. I mean, one of the things I always say, and I compare this to my marriage when I met my husband, is that the way I knew that he was the one was the same way I get up in the morning and I know my name's Kate. I don't look in the mirror and go, is my name Kate? Am I sure my name's Kate? And so if there's ever that dialogue in you that you're not sure, then there's work to be done to go back in and connect. But when you are on fire and you are so excited about what you do and you wake up in the morning like ready to take life on, and every time it just gets better and better and just feels so in flow, you know that you found the thing that lights you up. So in summary, what I'd like to share with you is that if you would like to be in flow and be living your purpose, or even just tune it up a bit, is to get really clear with some of the lies you might be telling yourself, some of the pressures you might be putting on the idea of living your purpose. It doesn't have to be this crazy, enormous dream or goal, but it can be. It's whatever it is for you. And so it's not too big or not too small. So just release any of the weight and the lies that you've put on about how it should look like and what it should feel like, and get in tune with what it looks like and feels like to you from within. And use those tools I mentioned, like cultivating your creativity, getting aligned with your values, tuning in with what you love, doing more of what you love, staying dedicated, being committed, and then allowing it to flow. And then the process continues to start all over again. We're here to evolve and grow. So anytime there feels like there's not that flow or that block, just tune back in. I don't believe that your purpose is your one purpose all the time. Your purpose is your perfect purpose in this moment of each day, and that's it. And it can evolve and grow. I hope you enjoyed this video. The idea of finding and living your purpose is really near and dear to my heart. It's the reason I founded Conscious Divas. It really lights me up to see people become really clear about what lights them up. I think the world would be a better place if everyone was fully self-expressed for who they are, and we didn't have to walk around with all of the judgments of what we should or shouldn't do. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'd love to connect with you to hear your stories to either finding your purpose or that progression that you've went through.